today we're going to talk a little bit about the concept of bandwidth. And bandwidth can seem like a bit of a daunting concept, but if we use a bit of an analogy to picture it in our heads, it actually is quite logical. So we're going to picture the internet as a pipe. And so just like any other pipe, we've got things that are going to flow through the pipe. In this case, because we're talking about the internet and we're talking about bandwidth, what's flowing through our pipe is data. And with the internet pipe, data comes in when we download something. So when we download a photo that came in an email, or we open our email to read it, or we're surfing our social media, we've got data coming in. When we send an email or we upload something to our YouTube channel, or maybe we're playing a game, we've got data going out. And in the case of the game, we have our own gameplay going out and the gameplay of others when we're playing on servers like Fortnite. We've got that data coming in. So just like any other pipe, whether the pipe is flowing water or oil or anything else, you can only use as much as there is space. So whatever space there is in that pipe, that's all you've got. So if you're using the internet on kind of a day-to-day basis, you're checking your email, you're checking your social media, you're reading up on Sportsnet, you're looking up something on Wikipedia, you're researching a recipe for supper time. That's all data going in and out through your computer, mostly in. And you'll see that it doesn't take up a ton of your pipe. Those are fairly small activities. But now we're going to add a few more things going on. And this applies either at work or also at home. Wherever you are and you're connected to internet, this analogy applies. So we're going to picture this as being at home. And now I've got one of the kids is playing Fortnite on a server with a bunch of other people. And somebody's streaming the football game onto the TV, and the person in the household who runs a YouTube channel is loading up their most recent video, and somebody else is just watching their favorite show either on YouTube or Netflix or something like this. All of a sudden, this pipe is getting a little bit clogged, and we don't really have space on here for another big activity. So if one of the kids needed to be online for a Google Meet when this is happening, we would expect one major thing to happen during that Google Meet, and the word for that is crash. So when we're experiencing some slowing of the internet speeds, there's a few things that can happen. Now, the obvious one is to take a look at what's going on with the internet and start to try and remove some of these bigger ones. So this kid who's just kind of watching some cartoons here before supper, maybe they can go do something else, read a book or do something that doesn't involve the Wi-Fi, because somebody else needs to be on a Google Meet right now. And the one who was uploading to their YouTube channel, that could happen later too. You know, I know you're excited to get that video posted, but that can wait until later. So now suddenly, if somebody's needing to do a Google Meet, we've just cleared out a fair bit of space to accommodate that. So the first thing to look at when you're experiencing some challenges with your bandwidth is to consider how is it being used in the moment, and what can possibly be eliminated from that usage to allow others to have some access that they require for whatever it is they're trying to do. So what we want to talk about here is we want to talk about how to maximize your experience with your internet and with your video conferencing. And we are not wanting to talk about things that cost money. So we're not talking about increased plans for your internet. We're just going to talk about things you can do that are not going to cost you money to do. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is move closer to the router. The closer you are to the point where it comes into the house, the better your access speed's going to be. So you kind of want to have those 3 bars showing at all times. And if you're not seeing the 3 bars for your Wi-Fi, see if you can move closer to the router. And the router is just that little thing that your internet provider put in your house and it sends off the signal. Well, the closer you are to the signal, the better your speeds are going to be. The next thing you could do is you could do a speed test. And so if you go to speedtest.net, it will tell you what your upload and download speeds are. So you might see something you'll see your download speeds and you'll see your upload speeds, and those are going to be measured in megabytes per second. And so you might see something like 19.70 on your download and 2.79 on your upload. You might see something like that. Now, that might not be terribly meaningful, and you don't have to know everything about computer science to run a quick speed test and see what your numbers are. When you signed your internet agreement with your provider, they will have given a number that you could expect as a maximum for your upload and download speeds. So when I say maximum, if this is below, that's going to be acceptable to your internet provider. But if you're finding these to be gravely low compared to what you should be getting, give them a call. They may be able to make a few adjustments to improve your experience. The other thing you can do is if you're finding that your upload speeds are really quite slow, you can ask them to move a little bit of the speed from the download over to the upload. And most providers will be amenable to doing that. And that might give you the experience that you're seeking with your Google Meets. Further to that, you can download some stuff the night before. Now, if you've got a little one at home who likes to watch on Netflix or something like that, what you can do is you can queue it up to record during the night when everyone in your family's asleep. It can record some of those video type things that you want to have access to the next day. Of course, that does require a bit of planning in advance to have things ready to go, but we're talking about things that don't cost money here. And so that might be a good way to go. Now, one thing with Netflix in particular is if you're wanting to record, you need to be doing that from a mobile device, either a phone or a tablet. And that's just a specific Netflix thing. So different applications have different realities for that kind of thing. But as much as possible, if you download it the night before, you're not going to have the same amount of draw on your pipe. Another thing you can do is within G Suite, we can activate what is called offline mode. And in the description for this video, I will put a link to how to set it for offline mode. So if you have kids who are working from home and they're needing to be working in a Google Doc or a slide, if you've got offline mode enabled, they are not going to be taking up any of your bandwidth within your home because they will work offline, and then you can connect it later and have it sync to bring their document that is online for the teacher to see. Power cycle your router. That's not nearly as intimidating as it sounds when I say it. Power cycle your router. So we've talked about the router already, and that's that little device that the internet service has brought into your house to put off the internet signal for you. By power cycle, all I mean is unplug it, count to 10, and then replug it in. That can make a huge difference at different times to your internet speeds. So I would even advise do that daily, especially at this point in time where we are so reliant on our bandwidth and on our internet connectivity to function and to provide our educations and even to work our jobs when we're working from home. Finally, specific to Google Meet, on your layout section where you can tile it, if you're having some trouble with Google Meet crashing or glitching or the audio is not keeping up, set it to Spotlight. So instead of tiling it, if you put it on Spotlight, it gets rid of all of the people down the side. So you're not going to see all the tiles of all of the people. You will only see the speaker. So it's going to reduce what your computer's trying to keep up with, and it's going to still keep you engaged. It's going to keep you with whoever is speaking at the time, but you're not going to see everyone else. The other alternative, if I'm a parent of a student at home and their Google Meet is glitching and they're not able to keep up, turn off the video feed. So if you turn off the video camera, then of course the teacher can't see the student, which isn't great. But if we are in a position where the student is not able to participate effectively in the meet, we need to do everything we can to try to improve that experience. And taking the load off your bandwidth that having the camera on requires, it may be necessary. I would recommend that as a last resort, but it is a choice if the situation warrants it. So these are just some ways that we can take a look at our home situations to try to maximize what we have to make it feasible and viable for everybody in the family to utilize the bandwidth without overtaxing the pipe. If none of these things have improved your situation at all, another thing you could look at is the family cell phones. And so these are often connected in onto the family's Wi-Fi, and they may be downloading app updates at inopportune times that you are not in control of. And so either disconnecting them from the Wi-Fi while you're using it for other things, or shutting them off while you're using the Wi-Fi will eliminate their ability to be drawing some of your bandwidth as well when you're not wanting that to be happening.